Hey there, I'm Trisha and welcome back. In today's video, I'm going to be wrapping up the books that I read during the months of June and July. So for those of you who have been subscribed to my channel for a little while, you'll notice that I went on about a month, almost a month and a half hiatus from BookTube. I had a little bit of a rough transition into the new job that I have started. For those of you who have been on my channel for a little while will know that I lost my job back in February and I was unemployed for several months, and then when I finally got a new job, the transition was a little bit rough, and for me that translated into me not wanting to read. I didn't want to participate in BookTube. The thing that brought me the most joy, I didn't find any joy in because I was so caught up in the stress of this new job. So I didn't read very much during the months of June and July, but I have a couple of books that I did manage to read that I want to wrap up for you all. So all the way back at the end of May, I started reading a book. I did finish it in June, so it wasn't part of my May wrap up technically, and that was The Little Paris Bookshop by Nina George. The Little Paris Bookshop is about a man who lives in Paris and has a bookshop on a boat called the Literary Apothecary. He likes to spend his time working with his customers, recommending books that are best going to serve them for where they are at their current point in life. And he prescribes them almost like medicine. And as good as he is at reading people and understanding emotions and understanding what it is that people are going through in their lives, he hasn't really come to terms with something that happened to him 20 years ago, and he's kind of just been stagnant for these last 20 years. He gets up, goes to work every single day, and kind of lives a life that is very complacent because of something that happened 20 years ago. So in this story, he goes on an adventure with one of the people that lives in the apartment complex that he lives in. They go on this adventure to help him come to terms with what happened, some information that he found out, and to help him move on with his life. This is one that was a little bit of a surprise for me. I wasn't really sure what to expect going in, but it wasn't what I got. And actually what I got was very sweet, and I really enjoyed it. I have a full spoiler-free review that I will link for you all in the card, but I loved the writing style in this. I loved the characters in this. I did feel that a portion of it was a little bit slow. Despite that, I felt like I understood why it was done that way. That it couldn't have been written with any faster of a pacing, because it really stuck true to someone coming to terms with a big transition in their life. And that's not something that happens overnight. So while it was slow, I get it. And I highly recommend this book. I did end up giving it 4 out of 5 stars. The next book that I was able to finish back in June was When Dimple Met Richie by Zendaya Menon. This is one that I read for the Muggle Studies Book Club. It was the pick of the month back in June. And this one I also have a full spoiler-free review on, but I'll link it for you. But the farther out that I get from reading this, I originally gave it a 3 out of 5 stars. The more I feel it's more of a 2 or 2.5 for me. In my spoiler-free review, I do mention that I didn't really connect with either one of the characters. I didn't really feel for them strongly one way or another. They were just kind of there. I did, however, like the progression of their relationship. I thought that that was very well done. I liked how supportive they were of one another, but I didn't feel super connected to either one of the main characters. And I was really incredibly disappointed with some of the side characters being really poorly developed stereotypes of mean girls and preppy rich kids. I thought that that was very poorly done, and I didn't like it in comparison to the rest of the book, like, at all. So I'm hovering between a 2 and a 3 on this one. So go check out my spoiler-free review if you want to hear more of my thoughts on it. So the next book that I finished reading was The Hating Game by Sally Thorne. This one, for those of you who don't know, it's pretty big on BookTube. It's a contemporary romance with characters set in their 20s. And this one is about 2 office co-workers that just really don't like one another, and they kind of have this hate to love sort of relationship, and it progresses from absolute detestment to love. It's not something that I would normally gravitate towards. However, Chelsea from Chelsea Darling Reads really loves this book, and it's very widely praised here on BookTube for the most part. So I decided to give it a try because I do love hate to love romances, and this one just didn't live up to the hype for me. I know that's like a really unpopular opinion in regards to this book, but for the first 150 pages, I really enjoyed this. I thought that it was very sweet, very cute. I liked it. And then after the 150 page mark, I started to really dislike the main character. I also didn't really understand the relationship progression between the two main characters. I felt that it was very flippy-floppy, and there were some really strange, jealous sort of feelings that they had, and it just didn't quite flow from hate to love. It just bounced back and forth between hate to love and miscommunication and jealous feelings, and I didn't really care for that. And there were also things that I think in the progression of the relationship and the way they interacted with each other were done in a very juvenile manner. And I wish that they had acted like more of adults with each other. And I also felt that the kind of revelation at the end of this book was, or the twist of what was going on, the true plot line behind it, it was really easy to predict. Like, the first time that something was mentioned, I was like, oh, that's gonna be what happens. And it's what happened. Also, as a side note, there was not as much smutty content in this book as a lot of the reviews have led me to believe. I think that there were a couple of steamy-ish scenes, but nothing that was true smut until the very end. There was like one scene, and it was okay. Like, it wasn't super great. It wasn't a letdown, but there wasn't as much in there as a lot of the reviews I have seen led me to believe. So I ended up giving this one 2.5 out of 5 stars. The next book that I finished up was More Than We Can Tell by Brigid Kemmerer. This is a spin-off sequel to Letters to the Lost that she came out with like a year or so ago, and I loved Letters to the Lost. The more that I think back on it, Letters to the Lost is probably one of my favorite books of 2017. More Than We Can Tell is a spin-off sequel because it takes another of the main characters and it follows them. And so we've got two new main characters, with the main characters from Letters to the Lost appearing in this book. And it is about a young girl who is a game programmer, and she has developed a game, and she wants to be just like her dad. And through the progression of her game, being online and people playing it, she has found herself the target of an online troll, and she isn't really sure how to deal with it because she doesn't want to talk to her parents about it because her parents have a really poor working relationship between themselves and with her. And then also a young man who is adopted, and he is dealing with his biological father trying to come back into his life and the repercussions of the negative influence and the abuse that he suffered at the hands of his biological father. So it is about them and the way they meet and the progression of their relationship, and also the separate storylines of what is going on in their own personal lives. And I enjoyed so much the complexities of the characters and the events of what it is that they are going through individually and together. I thought that that was so well done. The progression of their relationship was very sweet. I very much enjoyed it. And I really loved the writing style in this one, just like Letters to the Lost. I thought it was incredibly well done. This is the type of contemporary that really speaks to me. It is a contemporary that has a much darker and heavier overarching theme throughout it, and with a little bits mixed in of some lighter fun moments. And I very, very much loved this one. I ended up giving it 4.5 out of 5 stars. So those are all the books that I was able to finish during the months of June and July. There are a couple more that I do want to mention as books that I am in the middle of reading that I started during the last 2 months. The first one is The Three Musketeers by Alexandre Dumas. This is one that I started as a buddy read with Kara from Wild Book Garden. I have gotten halfway through it, and we were halfway through June when I started hitting that really severe reading and booktube slump. So I got halfway through my buddy read with her. Kara has since gone on to finish the book. I have not. I am going to finish it up and then talk to her about the rest of the book when I get around to it. I am hoping to finish this during the month of August. Next, I was in the middle of reading The Darkest Part of the Forest by Holly Black. This is one that I was reading with my little cousin in anticipation of a Little in Big book chat that we do here on my channel. I am about 160 out of about 320-ish pages, so I'm about halfway through it. I am liking it when I'm reading it, and then when I put it down, I kind of forget. It might be because of the reading slump that I was in, or maybe I'm just not connecting to it as much as I have Holly Black's other works, but I am also hoping to finish this one up in the month of August, so we'll see how the rest of the book goes for me. So that is all of the books that I was able to finish and the books that I was in the middle of over the last 2 months, and I thank you guys so much for sticking with me as I kind of worked through that weird transition period with my new job. And just so you all know, from here on out, I am probably only going to be posting twice a week because I actually do happen to work 7 days a week now. I don't have very much downtime to film, so I'm hoping to be posting on Monday or Tuesday and then Friday each week. We will see how that goes as I further settle into my new job. Maybe I'll get back to 3 videos a week, but for right now, I'm aiming for 2 to get me out of my booktube slump. So let me know in the comments down below if you have read any of the books that I read over the last couple of months. What did you think about them? And if you have not already done so, now is a perfect time to click that little subscribe button down below if you'd like to see more content from me in the future. And if you'd like to follow me elsewhere on the interwebs, I have all of my social media links in the description box down below, and I'll see you all in my next video. Bye!